Digitized live from the Act Computer Studios in Cape Coral, Florida, it's the What's in Your Head podcast with your hosts Gordon and Don Abernathy.
What's up, OG5? I'm just laughing because our splash screen over went flying because I'm once again trying to do everything all by myself. But what is going on, OG5? We are back for another weekend. I hope all things are going well with you and yours in the crazy state which your state may be currently in. Gotta say, here down in Florida, things are getting back open and things are running smoothly. I don't think we're seeing a big bounce in our spike and our curve and our hospitalizations. How about you, Gordon? How are things in Las Vegas, Nevada?
Things are, and it may be hot now, things are getting back towards, no, it's not even close to fucking normal. Today, though, was a very productive day for myself. I got up at the crack of 4:30.
Ugh. On a Saturday?
On a Saturday, well, so there's only a couple places on a Saturday you could go get your blood drawn. You got to get your vampire on for the year to make sure you're healthy, all your levels are good. So had to do that this morning. Had my first haircut scheduled. Got that taken care of, so I'm all cleaned up, looking a little less like a werewolf and more like a human being. And
how'd that feel for you?
Fantastic. He even shaved my beard and everything. So I was about 3 days from looking like I was flying a sign. And then we went to our first restaurant since everything is going on. They have slowly opened restaurants here. This is one I don't normally go to, but it was the one that was open. So that was kind of nice. Every other table, so on and so forth. And then we went out to the yard, and I've been working in the yard all day, basically tearing down my garden and repurposing the rocks into a flower bed on the other side of the yard. So,
but doesn't your garden pretty much make up your entire landscaping, because you have that desert landscape out there in Nevada? You guys have to keep it going that way, right?
Yeah, sort of. So the garden, the purpose of the garden was to be a little self-sufficient, but unfortunately I think we're feeding more rats than anything. So we got rid of that. We nuked it, took care of it, but this was the first full day and kind of a decently, it was only like 90 degrees, but my God, the sun about
zapped me today. It was a cool 90 degrees.
It's a cool, dry 90 degrees.
It's a dry heat.
I tell you what, there is a difference. Once you are used to living in the Southwest, evidently not. Once you're used to living in the Southwest and you go visit a place like Florida, you can actually smell the funk. When you get to Florida, the mildew, it's just everywhere, and it feels like you're just in a sauna.
Well, it's funny you bring that up, because I remember when I moved to California, and as soon as we got out of the Inland Empire and into LA proper, near just remotely close to the ocean, I remember Kinnison was in the back window, and we had the windows cracked, and we weren't even near the beach. I mean, we were probably 40 minutes from the beach, but he could already smell it. I could smell it in the air as well.
Oh, yeah, and it's funny because when I first moved to Vegas and I was coming in from Big Sky, Montana, as soon as I hit the valley, all I smelled was sewage.
Oh, yeah?
So I jokingly say, the problem with out here is because it's so dry, all the pee traps like to dry up. So, like, you'll go into restaurants and you just smell it. It's like, okay, guys, we got to work on this just a little bit. But no, casinos are not open. Sisolak's giving it another week, and we like to call them Slee Stack. And we'll go from there. They are, however, going to open restaurants that are in casino properties as long as they are accessible from the outside, so you don't have to walk through the casino.
So you guys aren't even doing like the 25% capacity inside and then like 35 outside? It's just outside only?
It's outside only right now. Well, again, the restaurants you could go inside. You can do the 50% of whatever the fire code permissible volume is for that place.
Sure.
But what was interesting, I thought, is during the pandemic, which we're still in the midst of, but when we were full lockdown, you were able to go to these big box stores, right?
Yep.
Big box stores did not have any capacity limits, which begs the question, why are they allowed to stay open and I'm not? But, that's neither here nor there. But now that they did phase one, all of a sudden the big box stores had to go down to the 50%.
That's weird.
It's
Did Home Depot get their ass handed to them in the media or something?
I don't know. It seemed to be like normal when I went today.
Well, because I've gone to Lowe's a few times since this whole thing started to get parts for jobs because, as stated before, ACT Computers. That's right, ACT Computers, we have been providing IT solutions for all of Southwest Florida since 2004. You need help with your computer where you live in Southwest Florida or not, give them a call at 239-283-1120 or hit them up on their Facebook page. And as we just did with Gordon's computer before the show, we can remote into your computer across country. As long as we have your permission and your participation, we can fix all of your computer problems remotely as long as you have internet access. But right now, especially since everybody's working from home, let's secure your business network. Let's secure your employees' computers with two-form authentication and online backups. Give them a call at 239-283-1120, and they can hook you up with online backups for 7 cents a gig per month forever. Forever.
Forever, ever?
Yeah, forever, ever. Seriously, thank you guys. Thank the OG5 who supported ACT Computers. And right now, I mean, small businesses are hurting. And even though, you know, we've been open for a while during this whole thing, you know, some of our clients are hurting. And so, you know, I was explaining to my 13-year-old daughter how trickle-down economics works today. And
it's a real thing.
It is a real thing. And so if you want to support the Digital 410 network and you have not even just computer problems, if you live in South Florida, you need cameras hooked up, internet, TV, whatever, just give us a call at 239-283-1120 and we'll happily help you with all of your issues. I forgot what I was going with. Oh, yeah. Things really haven't changed. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm all over the place. The reason I asked about whether or not Home Depot got their ass handed to them in the media is because I remember one time I was at Lowe's and I went to find, oh yes, I was looking for a round bolt, a stripped out bolt socket that are made by Irwin. They make these sockets that are designed to remove stripped bolts, right?
Okay.
And so I went online and Home Depot carried them. Went over there, they're closed. Okay, going to Lowe's. Lowe's was open, didn't have it. I've been to Lowe's a few times. It's just normal. You walk in the right entrance, you leave the left entrance. If you have a mask, great. If you don't, whatever. They have the tape on the floor 6 feet, you know, and then they have the plexiglass banners in front of the employees. So it really isn't no different than a Walmart or anywhere else.
Now, you're talking about the Coyote Roadrunner X that we all stand on?
Yeah. Or if they're fancy, some of these fancy places actually get like stickers printed up with like the 1950 wingtip shoe prints. It's 2020. No one wears wingtip shoes. Why is that still our go-to footprint logo for signage and stickers? But anyhow,
such a classic.
But last week I went to Home Depot, and it was like it was like going to like if Home Depot tried to put together a shoddy Universal Studios.
Oh dear God!
You went there, all their outdoor grills were lined up, strapped together, but they were using that as they created a serpentine out of their outdoor equipment, out of the grills and all that stuff. And so you had a line with markings, I guess anticipating long lines, which you didn't. Right. You just serpentined on through. They had people sitting at the door with face masks pointing you where to go to, and people handing out this and that. And you go through the place, and they kind of have like a maze almost set up in the front.
Amazing.
And so you go in the far right, and at Home Depot they got a far right door, they got a middle entrance, and then they have their far end contractor door, right?
So far right's where all the MAGA hats is, and then you got your far left where you
got your far right MAGA hats, you got the middle door, and then you got the contractor door.
Okay, gotcha.
So you go in there and get your stuff. You're parked down at the right end of the building because that's where their general purpose door is. Right. But they make you walk all the way down past the second door to the contractor's exit. And so you're walking in the far right, you get your stuff, and you have to walk, check out, and you go to hit the door right behind the checkout, which are locked. They serpentine you through another maze all the way down to the contractor end. So once you get out, you got to walk all the way back up the parking lot. It was ridiculous. It was like the most.
Did you ever get your piece of cheese?
Yes, I did get the. I went there for a low voltage ring and some stucco, or some spackle, if you will. I had to patch up some drywall.
3 hours later.
Exactly. It was like, holy hell. I've been to a lot of places in Southwest Florida since then, and this is like the most lockdown, restricted, like overzealous corporate office anticipation that I've seen, at least in Southwest Florida, since this whole thing started.
I wonder if that was under the direction of either the general manager of the store or the district manager, because it is none of that nonsense here at Home Depot.
I mean, I don't know. It was the Fort Myers one, which tends to be a little busier, but I don't know. I just thought, that's why I'm wondering, well, maybe they got their ass handed to them in the media for some reason, so they're like going a little extra overboard on their social distancing policy.
And yes, everybody, D-Train is drinking a mason jar full of piss.
Yes. Or if you're a 90s kid and you remember Rock and Roll High School Forever when they're taking their piss test, hey, that's not my beat. And they start swapping it.
I don't think I've seen that one.
That was a Corey Feldman vehicle. It actually had, it was called Rock and Roll High School Forever, much like the Ramones song. And the only thing I can remember is there was a dream sequence where Corey Feldman was dreaming, and he was visited by the rock and roll god of like rock and roll past, kind of like the Christmas Story.
So this is total straight campy, probably late 80s, early 90s deal.
Well, I'll tell you. Guess who played the ghost of rock and roll past?
Gene Simmons.
Mojo Nixon.
Oh,
If your store ain't got Mojo Nixon, then your store can use a fixin'.
Yes, it can. Went back to an old Dead Milkman song.
Hey, one Saturday I took a walk through Zipperhead. I was going to say
Met a girl there and she almost knocked me dead.
Punk rock girl.
Please look at me.
Punk rock girl.
I forgot the rest of the lyrics.
So we kind of started off, on the COVID-19 thing, and I was going to wait a little later for the news, but this is kind of, we're kind of right there with you being in Las Vegas, which is a short. You're like the redheaded stepchild of California.
We like to refer to ourselves now as Deep East LA.
Real quick, OG5 checking in Bill Howard, Martin Mazika, Morgan Long, and Don Anderson on Facebook Live stream. And real quick, heads up, thank you guys over at Periscope. You guys are coming in strong. The numbers are blowing up over there every week. And of course, YouTube, those numbers are blowing up. We often overlook our friends over on Periscope, but you guys are there every week. So thank you guys so much. And the OG5, of course. Real quick, I know some of the OG5 are waiting on some stickers. And I know Gordon's waiting on some stickers.
Yeah, I am.
Stickers are cut. Here is the olive drab, what's the scuttlebutt sticker that has been personally requested by a member of the OG5. And here are the new What's in Your Head podcast stickers. The neon green requested by Gordon. Now you see these are not quite done. They're still in a raw format. And there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
We know there's a toilet paper shortage, right?
Yeah, I actually ordered 2 bidets. Because of this.
I ordered.
It'd be time to do it anyway.
I ordered a case of toilet paper on Amazon since this thing started, and I think I'm supposed to get it by the end of July. So toilet paper is still on shortage. Paper towels, and apparently so is Cricut transfer tape. I went to Michael's tonight, and all their transfer tape is sold out. Transfer tape? What is that, Don? Well, as the name implies, whenever you buy a die-cut sticker, you peel the back off, and it's stuck to transfer tape, then you smack it on your window, you pull the transfer tape off. Without the transfer tape, I can't complete my project. I can order some on Amazon, but it won't be here for another 2 weeks, so I'm going to go to a few other Michaels here in Southwest Florida so I can get these decals out to you guys here post-haste. The new What's in Your Head podcast sticker, which is similar to the one you see right there on your screen, will be available for purchase at $3.50, and that includes shipping and handling. But go ahead.
Those stickers are great. I think they're the best looking stickers in the world. But every once in a while, you'll get a sticker and you've rubbed that motherfucker on the windshield or whatever surface you're putting on. You got to pull on that transfer tape and it'll start pulling the sticker. Son of a.
I need to make a video because when I worked at the radio station, I put a lot of the stickers on, and what a lot of people fail to do is to use a mild soap. You actually, if you clean your surface real well with the alcohol, and then put like a mild soap and water in a squirt bottle, it'll allow you to actually slide the sticker. Like if it's crooked, it'll actually allow you to straighten it out.
So it won't F up the adhesive?
Use your squeegee on it, and then let it sit out in the sun for 2 hours or 15 minutes in Las Vegas. And then you can go and pull the transfer tape off.
See, in 15 minutes, that transfer tape would be the color of brown.
Okay, well in Las Vegas, wait 2.5 minutes, but regardless.
Oh my God!
Have you heard the insanity that is the mayor of LA County and his updated restriction policies on what's going on over there in Los Angeles County?
No, I'm just dealing with the insanity going here. You gotta fill me in though. I'm sure it's a gem.
Well, I'm gonna read a little bit, and then I'm gonna play you some clips from our friend Tucker Carlson, because he's breaking it down.
Hey, everybody, the guy with the learning disability is going to read.
You're making fun of my reading, but let's talk about your enunciation. I'm like adjusting your bars over here because 1 minute you're talking real quiet and then the next minute you're screaming in your mic like Dave used to.
Sorry about that.
But anyhow, Los Angeles, here we go. 2, this hasn't happened, this is a threat. Los Angeles to shut off water and power to non-essential businesses who refuse to close.
Did hear about that. He wants to get fucking sued. Go for it.
Los Angeles authorities could shut down water and power to non-essential businesses that refuse to close amid the coronavirus outbreak there, according to local reports. Quote, "We won't tolerate selfish behavior of a few who unnecessarily put our community at risk," Mayor Eric Garcia said in a press conference on Wednesday. He also said a safe-at-home emergency shelter-in-place order would be strictly enforced. The order requires LA residents to stay at home at all times except for in a number of situations, including to get food, health, or medical necessities, as well to care for children or adult relatives, friends, and people with disabilities, according to the mayor's office. Non-essential businesses include bars, restaurants, movie theaters, bowling alleys, hair salons, and gyms. But non-essential businesses that remain open despite the order is, quote, irresponsible and selfish, according to the mayor during his press conference. Now, I was watching Tucker Carlson the other night, who has some interesting views on this, and that's not even half of it. Did you know in LA County, you're required to wear a mask at all times outside?
That's interesting because one of the reasons that Governor Steve did not enforce that is he says it does encroach on people's rights. So, and the NAACP has evidently been all over it.
Morgan Long.
So I don't know how you can get by with it in one state and not another, you know.
Well, maybe the answer is in what Tucker Carlson is going to say about Mayor Garcetti. Real quick, a lockdown could be extended through July.
Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti has now extended the lockdown through the end of July. That means at least 2.5 more months of it. Police say they brought criminal charge against at least 60, quote, non-essential businesses for the crime of going to work. Countless other businesses have shut forever. They're not coming back.
Now, as we just said, if you go anywhere outside, you must wear a mask. But why?
The citizens who remain stuck in Los Angeles are effectively hostages of the mayor. Garcetti has demanded that anyone who goes outside for any reason, as the heat rises in LA, must wear a mask. It goes without saying there is no science to back up this order or any of Garcetti's so-called health decisions. In fact, it's possible that requiring masks outside will not prevent a single person from being infected in Los Angeles. But Garcetti doesn't care. Anyone who disobeys this order will be punished. It's nuts, but it's just the beginning of Eric Garcetti's thoroughly bizarre restrictions. The more you know, the weirder it is.
Bizarre? Weird? How weird could it possibly be?
Watch, for example, as Garcetti explains that anyone who goes to the beach must make certain not to touch dry sand. Wet sand is fine. Dry sand is now illegal.
Beaches will open up this week for exercise and active recreation only in the wet sand, I guess is a good way of thinking about it, not hanging out and tanning in the dry sand.
What's the science behind this? Once again, of course, there is none. It's the expression of an autocrat who decided he must look tough by doing something or he won't get elected president, which has always been Eric Garcetti's primary goal.
Get reelected
It's
at all.
scary if you think about what this means. It means that America's second largest city has fallen under the total control of a neurotic megalomaniac who is terrified of dry sand. Eric Garcetti's personal phobias are now law in Los Angeles. Makes you think of the final days of Nicolae Ceausescu in Romania, ranting at his subjects from the podium, imposing his strange obsessions on a helpless population.
But yes, we know this is Tucker Carlson. We know it's Fox News or crazy right-leaning people. Clearly, if the people of LA County cared and they were truly upset about this quote-unquote overreach according to Tucker Carlson, then why wouldn't anybody do anything about it?
Now, you may mock Los Angeles, and in some cases it's deserved. There are some flaky people who live there. Barbra Streisand's in Malibu. But there are also an awful lot of normal, decent people in Los Angeles. A couple of days ago, a group of them came together. It's totally bipartisan. Some of them are well-known liberal Democrats, some are conservative Republicans and have been all their lives. Others are labor leaders, middle-class voters. This group of citizens is going to try and bounce Eric Garcetti from the mayor's office. And
Cool,
they can.
done.
Under California law, politicians can be recalled by voters. You remember that Californians did it to their governor, Gray Davis, 17 years ago. It worked.
I did. I voted
Now,
for it.
recall petition in California requires 330,000 signatures.
Not a problem.
And that, unfortunately, is where Eric Garcetti has the advantage.
What do you mean?
Thanks to Garcetti's extended shelter-in-place orders, citizens are not allowed to gather these signatures. So under the guise of public health, Garcetti has stopped his political opponents from opposing him.
How convenient.
And he's not the only one. You've seen this happen in many states, Michigan, New Jersey, others. Politicians around the country are doing this. As long as there is no vaccine for the Wuhan coronavirus, they can remain in power unchallenged forever. It's nice for them. They're enjoying it. But in Los Angeles, Garcetti may have gone too far. The future of the city is at stake. The recall Garcetti forces are taking this issue, the issue of signatures, to court, trying to win the right to gather the signatures online. We'll keep you posted on how they do because it's important.
Now, last week I said this is kind of an interesting dry run, if you will, for worst case scenario. I mean, yes, the Wuhan virus thing was pretty fucking bad. A lot of people died. We all agreed or disagreed, but we all signed up, volunteered. Well, not really, shut the economy down, but we all went home and we stayed in place so that we could flatten the curve to allow the hospitals to build up the logistics so that they can properly treat everybody once, the things get a little more out of hand.
And so, again, the whole reason was to not overwhelm, at least what we were sold on, not overwhelm the medical care facilities, which in some cities there was some issues, not much, maybe just a little, maybe an extra couple hundred people, but everywhere else not. So, okay, that's done.
But for all intents and purposes, the majority of the states are slowly opening up. Some are in phase 1, some are getting ready to start phase 1, some are done with phase 1. Like Florida, we're going to go into phase 2. Gyms open up on Monday. But, so now that we're getting through this and we're heading phase 2 on phase 3, I think we can all say this thing wasn't as bad as it could have been, thank God, because of the proactive measures we all took, right?
Yes.
So if this thing wasn't as bad as it could have been because of the proactive measures, why are there so many leaders, whether it's a mayor or governor, city hall members, trying to take so much power? They're like showing. Imagine if something really fucking catastrophic happened. Imagine if, a giant meteor landed in the middle of the country and knocked out 3 states.
Well, what's that old saying? Power corrupts absolutely.
But not all of them. You got 50
all of
states.
them. Now,
and
do
each
want to
state
say
has
something.
cities and townships, and there's only a small handful of these people who act like assholes.
I do want to say something, and I've got to be very careful in how I say it because I'll probably come off sounding crazy. This is the reason, in my opinion, that the Second Amendment exists.
Oh, there you go, you gun-toting, crazy, Bible-thumping son of a bitch.
No, not a Bible thumper, but I see the fear and the negative post on the media.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, this horrible. It's horrible that these guys showed up in Michigan's government building with guns. Those assault rifles, the ones that y'all say just shoot people willy-nilly.
Excuse me,
but
sir.
yet not a.
CNN here. That's military style assault rifle, sir.
Well, was there any mass shootings when all those were there?
No, but you're saying assault rifles. Those are clearly military style assault rifles, sir.
Oh, I was using it in jest. I actually refer to that as a home defense rifle or a sporting rifle. But anyway, nonetheless, my whole opinion is it's basically a show of force saying, come on, guys, just don't F with us.
Yep.
You're all getting out of control. I don't necessarily agree with the means and methods in Michigan. I think it was a little early for stuff like that. But now we see another city where the guy is clearly getting over his skis and has swelled up real big.
He did it again. Caused trouble, hurt someone's feelings. Yet he didn't want to do it. Yes, troublesome people are often people in trouble. They may be mentally ill. Find out how you can help. Write Better Mental Health, Box 3000, New York 1, New York.
Thank you.
Should write that and see if that's still an active box.
Probably not. It'd be an email address now.
Exactly. But, it's just like, it's somewhere in the middle. And I know I sound like somebody, but it truly is, and that's the way I've always thought. You've got your one view all the way on one side, one view all the way on the other. And it's like the country it's followed that divide that we've been having since our current president, and possibly before, just getting worse and worse and worse. And now this has added to it.
But Los Angeles County is not the only one in California going crazy. San Francisco is giving free drugs and alcohol to some homeless people isolated inside city-rented hotels during the corona pandemic, officials confirmed on Wednesday. And this
so
is
who's
all
going
from
to pay for those damaged hotel rooms?
The city has handed out either booze, tobacco, or medical cannabis to 43 homeless people with addictions to deter them from leaving the hotels and potentially spreading the coronavirus. Gina Lane, a spokeswoman for the City Department of Health, told the San Francisco Chronicle.
So let's think about it. When times are tough, and let's go back to like the Middle Ages and that, and all throughout history.
Let them eat cake!
What was it that the people in power always made sure that the lower class people had? They had food and they had a way to get a buzz. They were either paid in grain and beer or something along those lines. And this is kind of like a modern version of that.
That was step two. Step one's take away weapons, and then ply them with alcohol and or mind-altering substances.
And give them a little grain, a little staple, so they can keep their bellies somewhat satiated.
They're doing San Francisco a great service by staying inside, Lane told the paper. We're saying we're doing what we can to support you staying inside and not having to go out and get these things. What a better time, like if you're 18 or 19 and you like to party and you don't want to pay rent, hey, possible to get some free drugs. I will say they're only doing it for 43 people. I speculate that number's higher. The approach is part of the city's, quote, harm reduce based practices, end quote. Not funded with taxpayer money. Not funded with taxpayer money, as Health Department said on Twitter. San Francisco is using hotels to house a total of 270 homeless people who have either tested positive for coronavirus or highly susceptible to the infection. They also usually have no place of their own. Well, isn't that the dictionary definition of... I'm confused.
Have you ever wanted to be a gutter punk, but just couldn't quite commit? Have you ever wanted to be splayed out on a sidewalk, drunk in your own vomit, passed out, but just really didn't... It wasn't working where you live? Well, come to San Francisco, where we will keep you loaded, keep you drunk, and keep you sheltered.
And no worries about weather being a barrier to entry, because it's 73 and breezy.
And it won't matter because you can't leave the hotel anyway.
Yep, but you have a great view.
Just imagine those hotel owners are going to go in there and they're just going to be like, "Oh my fucking god, we got to just raise this building now."
Hi, my name is Tom McDonald. Welcome to the show. If you are easily offended, then you probably should go.
Look at that! I found it and I fixed it.
Sweet. Yeah, you got that end that I had cut real bad.
Well, I re-recorded it and it did the same thing. I actually had to record like 3 more bars and then adjust it in the software itself. I don't know why, but it's just weird. We want to hear from you. We see a couple of you all hanging out with us tonight. Give us a call at 239-232-4419. And to answer your question, Morgan Long, no, I weren't ignoring you. The OG5 Patreon, you don't have to worry about that. You have access to the free decals. So if you guys want free decals, go to d-410.com, click on the Patreon link, sign up for the $1 a month. There's 2 other plans, but hey, we're all broke. I'm not even going to hit you with that. If you don't want to sign up for Patreon, give us $1 a month, but you would like the stickers, send us an email at info@d-410.com. That is info@d-410.com, and we will send you a PayPal link, and you can pay us the $3.50, and that does handle the shipping and handling. And to be honest with you, this stuff ain't cheap. I got my daughter in there peeling these things, so I got to pay some child labor laws and all that. But the vinyl costs money, and the transfer tape, and not to mention the blade. I'm going to replace that here soon. $3.50. And by the way, I also think if you guys invest the $3.50, you're more than likely to put it on your car opposed to putting it on the toilet or someplace where people can't see it. After all, this is a form of advertising, so I would prefer, it's at least put
I'm advertising to my own backside, motherfucker.
I would prefer that it's put someplace where people can see it. So maybe if you pay the $3.50, you'll have some skin in the game, and you're more likely to share your love with the public.
I mean, we understand the sense of humor and trying to put it inside a construction shit house, but...
Hey, no, I'm down with that because a lot of people use that. That's still advertising.
That is. That's gorilla, the most gorilla.
You're more than you and your family are seeing it. So if you want to put it in the toilet, that's fine. That's cool, I guess. But I just prefer, more than your family see the thing. That's all. Especially, the amount of time, labor, and not to mention I got to time all this crap in Photoshop. So it's not like I just open up the software, write some text. I got to design it in Photoshop and import it into this, and then load all the stickers. And by the way, that's any color you guys want. So when you send that email to info@d-410.com, include the color. Any color will do. If you want to get super specific, that'll work. If you want pink with purple flake, say it. And as long as the vinyl is for sale somewhere out in the world, I will get you pink with purple flake. I don't care.
You can do any color?
You can do anything I can do better. I can do anything better than you. Let's go off this COVID crap.
Yeah, actually,
We spent 40 minutes on, which I didn't plan to do. I apologize for that.
I didn't either. It's an unfortunate third. So I got a question for you.
Okay.
Seeing some articles out there making me think that global warming could possibly be turned on its head.
If you're going to talk about the lack of solar flares,
Yeah.
let's talk about that in a minute. I want to get on some more lighthearted subjects before we get back into the end of the world shit.
I don't know if that's...
I'm going to talk about something we can all relate to.
Okay, what can we all relate to?
Bad neighbors.
It's kind of like marriage in West Virginia.
Um,
Anyway.
I live in a pretty nice neighborhood. It's a lower middle class, middle class neighborhood, depending on what street you're on, whether or not you have a canal running through your backyard. And there was actually a beautiful home just built down the street here, around about 3-4 houses down from where Tammy used to live. Guy's got a BMW in the driveway. He's got beautiful brick pavers, beautiful house, nice features, nice sconces, all modern.
Okay.
And then he pulls up his work truck, which I don't have a problem with. Work truck says blah, blah, blah trucking. Not a problem. And then it happens. The thing that allows this guy to afford such a nice house and a nice car because he owns a trucking company. And this is not the first time I've dealt with this in my neighborhoods because I've run a lot of houses. And I'm not the type of guy who calls city, code compliance.
No?
But when you have a beautiful house and a beautiful wife, then the days go by. Sorry, that's Talking Heads. You know what allows this guy to finance such a beautiful house? Dump trucks. How do I know? Dump trucks.
Are they in front of his house?
No, they're in the lot next door that does not have a house built on it. And of course, you can't just park your dump truck. You have to do what all quality, responsible dump truck owners do, and that is to spray out the dumper and then leave it standing vertical so all the debris. And so not only does he have a dump truck sitting next to his beautiful house, but he's got the bucket all the way up, standing 18 feet in the fucking air so you can see it from 3 streets away.
And all the debris has fallen out into a pile?
It's just like, dude, you got a beautiful... Clearly you care. Your house looks immaculate. At least my old neighborhood, the guy who did this ended up building a garage that was big enough to store the damn truck in. But that's not it. 5 houses down the street, there's another guy who has a nice house. Got these great cars. Different cars every week. That's cool, not a problem there. When he too owns a company, which is great, but when he gets called out on a late night shift and he don't feel like going back to the shop and he parks his flatbed tow truck out front with 2 cars on the back for 3 fucking days. So it's like as soon as you pull in my neighborhood, you're driving past a flatbed wrecker with some busted-ass wrecked car on the back, a dump truck with a bucket in the air. It's just like, come on, guys.
Hey, Cape Coral Code Compliance, I got a flatbed tow truck with 2 cars attached to it that needs to be towed. Can we do a
I don't think anybody's going to have to call code compliance on the dump truck because the main thoroughfare with the running path that I run on
is full of dump trucks?
Is on his back. His house is on that, so his back of his house faces that road. So any code compliance driving down that 4-lane thoroughfare, if they look to the left and or right, depending on which way they're heading, they can
Man,
see
they're
that
working
dump
hard
truck.
over there. Fucking A. So you're starting to look like a construction site around there?
It's just like, hey, you guys have nice houses. You have your businesses. That's great. I don't even mind, if you're an AC guy and you got a parking driveway, that's cool. But when you have a freaking truck that you can see from 2 streets away, or a truck that has 2 demolished cars sitting on the back, and then sometimes you just, I don't know, put one next to your fence, next to the empty lot next to you, because I live in an underdeveloped neighborhood. So it's one thing to park your truck out front of your house until you go to the shop the next morning, but when you're dropping cars off next to your privacy fence, it's like, come on. Do we live in a nice neighborhood or don't we?
It's not a junkyard.
By the way, you guys have money. Why not just drive another 5 minutes north and get you a couple acres in North Fort Myers and you can have all the dump trucks and tow trucks out there you want and have your own gun range? That'd be cool.
You saying it started to look like North Fort Myers around there?
Well, we are close enough to North Fort Myers to experience barefoot people walking around gas station bathrooms, so that's always fun.
You also seen that in Kentucky.
Oh, I also, we gave out a shout out to the Periscope people. You know who has been kicking ass because I was checking our stats, rolling with Fleetwood to Talamac? That's Kid Rock for some of y'all. Spotify listeners.
Really?
Mm-hmm. We actually have more subscribers to this particular podcast on Spotify than we do Apple Podcasts.
That's good.
And for you Google Play listeners, Google Play is going away, much like iTunes is going away. Apple Podcasts is replacing iTunes, and Google Podcasts is replacing Google Play. I will say with my dismay, I checked out Google Podcasts, and I was hoping the replay feature worked better, because have you ever noticed whenever you pause a podcast on Google Music Play and leave your car and come back, sometimes it starts over from the beginning of the goddamn show?
Yep.
Google Podcasts does the same thing.
Oh, it's probably just the same engine, different name.
Yeah, so, where it really helps us is Google Music Play wasn't designed for podcasts, and so there was no statistic numbers for us to really look at as far as subscriptions and download plays and all that, whereas Google Podcast has all that information now. So
and I did migrate over.
Yeah, so if you guys listen to the podcast on Google Music Play, go ahead and disable that app and go to your app store and download Google Podcast. And it's a cleaner interface. It's straight up, you just add your podcast, and it's right there. There's no advertisements yet. Yeah, it's still new. There's no advertisements yet. But it is a cleaner interface. What you got going on over there, fella?
Oh, I'm just fiddling with something because I can't sit still.
So, before this whole pandemic thing, we've talked about the generation who grew up in the last 15 years having poor social interaction skills because they grew up on cell phones, right?
Yes.
We've talked about how the police academy out in Washington like 3 years ago put out a story about how they have to take their police cadets, take them to the mall, out to city public places, and in plain clothes force them to engage strangers in conversation and maintain eye contact and carry a conversation on with them because, well, that's like rule number one in being a law enforcement officer is you have to be able to interact, listen, communicate with perfect strangers. I mean, that's the job description, right?
Perfect strangers. You so with Balky?
Yeah, Balky Bartakamus. Is that, yeah, Balky.
Yes, you got that.
Once again, the phone number is 239-232-4419. But imagine if this COVID-19 thing continues and we continue the social distance learning. And I also throw a theory out there. I think a lot of these charter schools may say, you mean we can educate without paying liability insurance or head on a building and electricity and this, that, and everything? Let's just continue this social learning, distance learning continuously. So I won't be surprised if you see a lot of charter schools just getting away with their buildings altogether. But that leads to my point. How is this, if this continues into next year, because we're already seeing some schools or states, depending on who they are, kind of question if that's a possibility. If this does, hopefully not, continue another 6 months, 8 months, what kind of social interaction retardation do you think that's going to have on people?
A whole generation of wallflowers.
I haven't seen the movie WALL-E yet, but I heard it's similar in the kind of to the Idiocracy, which I did watch. Last podcast I made the announcement I had watched that, and I shouted it into my Comcast voice remote controller to tell me a free version to watch. And I will say, if this whole pandemic thing wasn't going on, and if people haven't gotten dumber the last 10 years, I don't think that movie was as great as everybody made it out to be. But when watching it as comparing
Who can't speak now?
Comparing it to where we're going in this world, it's entertaining.
Very parallels, isn't it?
Yes, but as a standalone movie to watch when it first came out, I don't know if I would put it on my list of great comedies or not.
No, absolutely not. But it's more just a compare and contrast with what's actually going on in the world, and especially when all that Kardashian bullshit was at a fevered pitch, and reality shows and extreme sports and so on and so forth. It just.
But I guess in the show, the movie WALL-E, the robots are kind of like people's realistic avatars because they're just fat blobs who can't move, talk, or anything but eat.
Exactly.
I think that's where we're going to have a generation of folks going if things don't change quickly.
Yeah, they just have no bone structure. It's just gelatin.
Do you think? I think there's a lot of stuff. Obviously we have vaccinations for flus and this and that, but people still die from it every year. I
hope you don't get the other version. This is the one we're giving you a shot for.
I seriously think that once this COVID-19 thing gets managed, just like all the other diseases we have, I think a lot of this PPE stuff is going to stay. I think the plexiglass in front of the gas station attendants are going to stay. I think the plexiglass in front of the drive-through windows. I won't be surprised if 2 years from now, fast food workers are still wearing the mask.
Well, just think about it. When SARS happened, you've still seen people over the last, 15 years or however it's been since wear the mask. I see it all the time around Vegas when I moved here.
But that's among the Asian population, right?
Yeah, but now it's stretched out to...
Here's the crazy thing. We think that I don't want to say tradition, but the practice of wearing those masks among the Asian population started with the SARS outbreak. I would admit it got to the fever pitch, but I was actually watching some footage of... Imagine that, the guy with the World War II based podcast watching some World War II stuff. I was watching...
Really?
I was watching the signing of the peace treaty with Japan, right?
Okay.
And they were showing these Japanese soldiers getting put on trains in China and being shipped out. And 1945, panning the city, and there were people in the crowd wearing the exact same style medical mask walking around the city in 1945 China as we're wearing in 2020. So in that culture, the practice of wearing medical masks to prevent the spreading, obviously you didn't wear it to prevent getting. The policy was if you were sick and were going out among the masses, you would wear it to prevent spreading the cold to your common folk. But yeah, they've been wearing that shit a long time apparently.
Well, and I've actually got a little something behind that. I've got a theory, or maybe just a hypothesis. Have you watched that show, Mankind, The Story of Us All?
No, I have not yet.
Well, there is a part in there, and it's not a real spoiler because it's just history, but you know where the bubonic plague came from?
Rats all over the dishes? Rats all over the dishes?
Rats from China. It originated in China. So I'm wondering if just because they've had such a large population throughout history, they've almost been kind of the generator, or at least that part of the world. It's not blaming the Chinese people, but it's just maybe it's the conditions and everything.
It's overpopulation.
Together,
it's
right?
living on top of each other, and it's living in an underdeveloped country. I mean, let's face it, up until at least 30 years ago, a majority of the country was extremely poor. And so when you're living in those conditions, I mean, it's kind of like when you look at the footage of any city in India back in the 90s and 80s when you see their phone lines and shit, all electrical lines, it's just like a big blob of crap running down the poles. It's just
people are going to die just being near that.
It's just a nightmare. It's the same thing. No codes, overpopulation, and just many people. And Martin was...
And they were one of the biggest civilizations ever, going back before the Romans and that. So it's just insane, and that's one of the things I was talking about, the weird parallels. And it's for anybody, yes, it was out on History several years ago. And it is the VO, the narration is by Josh Brolin.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't watch it then. I started watching it actually when I'm on the treadmill behind me and while all this is going on. And then I'm starting to see kind of an interesting, just because everything that's going on, it's kind of crazy times, and seeing how human history is just full of crazy times. And yeah, we've always talked about it, but actually seeing some of the stories and everything that happens, and we don't learn. Well, it just continues.
Well, I mean, one of the human instincts is to pretend you always live in the worst time in the world.
Exactly.
And even without education or outside influences, because once again, my 12-year-old daughter we were in a car tonight, she said, I wish we didn't live in a time where there were so many cruel people in the world. And I said, sweetheart, actually we're living in the time with the least amount of cruel people in the world. 75 years ago, if you were born Jewish and you lived in Europe, there's a good chance you were getting gassed alive for no other reason than being a different religion.
And then you can go back in time, hell, even forward a little bit, back in time in different areas of the world, and that kind of stuff actually just got worse and worse.
Well, go down South America. You had people getting sacrificed on pyramids because they were, craziness. I mean,
the Christians throw them to the lions.
Okay, Iggy Pop.
Well, but I mean,
I wish Martin Mazika was online.
The Christians to the lions.
I wish Martin was joining us because he lives in New York City, and
New York City.
I wonder if there's going to be a great flight from New York City after all this.
I think a lot of populated areas, people are going. Hell, even I'm thinking like, man, if I didn't have that condo, I could buy just a scrape of land in Utah or something up near the mountains. And I've looked at prices over the last few years. And I could have totally done that.
Well, if you listen to Fail podcast with Neil Doppies, who lives in Colorado, from 3 weeks ago, I was talking to him about how I'm always watching these homestead makeovers and homestead rescues in Alaska, The Last Frontier, which, if you didn't know, that's Jules' family. And for like the last 5 years, I've just always it's actually Jules. Otz Lee's Jules' dad. That's why she sings the theme song. Remember when when Jewel came to L.A., she was homeless and lived in her car. Well, that was a step up from living in fucking Alaska on a goddamn homestead with a cattle range rider for a father. That was her dad. She's been on the show a few times since. But anyhow, I digress. Yes, to answer your question, Gordon, cities, Las Vegas, Columbus, and all that, yes. But New York is an insanity all of its own. When you're sitting in your one-bedroom studio apartment you're paying $5,000 a month for, and you say, hey, for $5,000 a month, granted I'll have a harder time finding a job with that living wage in nowhere Tennessee, but for, $3,000 a month, I could live on 75 acres and have a 5-bedroom house.
Well, if I can't find nothing in nowhere Tennessee, maybe I could go to somewhere Tennessee. Do they have anything there?
But that's just insane to pay that kind of money for a one-bedroom apartment and living on top of people.
It is, and walking down the streets, and from what I understand, it smells like piss everywhere, and it's just too much humanity. And that's one thing I've realized growing older is, I'm just kind of a homebody. I just don't even really want to socialize much. I have noticed, though, I may have comment before that, man, I just didn't see a whole lot of homeless people, but this last week, oh boy, they're out.
Yeah.
And they are out everywhere. They evidently are no longer on lockdown, and they are moving about the valley.
Well, before we get to what formerly was known as News and Shit, but I think we're going to change the name, and I think Gordon may have some suggestions. But have you seen the MyPillow commercials?
Who hasn't?
Have you seen the newer MyPillow commercials where they have the testimonials of people sitting in front of like their beds and living rooms and shit?
Are they like praying or what's going on?
They're just talking about how great the American-made product is and how the Giza sheets are the best sheets in the land and how they love the new box spring and all that.
Okay.
Damn my house, damn my animals.
What happened now?
Availability request. This is only a request for availability. You will be contacted again if chosen. Now casting for family and individual adults for MyPillow. Shoot date. Video submissions daily for 2 weeks. 2BD starting approximately on this date. If selected by production, each individual submission, you will receive a kit from MyPillow containing 1 coil mattress, 1 set of Giza sheets, MyPillow pillows, and slippers, and to record your testimonial daily. Those selected to be used on air from this recording will receive X amount of money, and the recording will take place in your home.
Let me guess. Those with children and pets do not apply.
No, I don't want a film. I can't even record a podcast in this house until 7:30 at night without my birds screaming. How the fuck am I going to do a television commercial shoot here?
Well, actually, that may fit into the whole clientele base of MyPillow.
Do you have high anxiety because of your screeching birds? Do you have a brand new Boston Terrier completely attacking your 13-year-old Bengal cat until it drives it insane? Do you have to constantly let your 14-year-old beagle outside to take a piss who pisses 3 gallons at a time? Well, then we got the sheets and pillows for you. MyPillow will take away all that anxiety and insanity away to make your house a new, luxurious, solitary. Where'd Superman live? The Palace of Solitude. No, what was it called? But anyhow, I digress. Yeah, so once we saw that they're actually going to record. So my point is, those people in this commercial, that's real people. That's recorded at their homes. and if I didn't live in a veritable fucking zoo, that I could possibly have some free My Pillow stuff. But Carrie and I both.
It's funny that you talk about My Pillow. This right here is a purple pillow.
That's white. You need to go get your eyes checked. That's clearly a white pillow, you colorblind bastard.
So we bought a purple mattress.
No, you bought a white mattress and a white pillow.
Purple, motherfucker. This thing's 10 pounds.
So is the human head.
Yeah. So it took me a little while. I just happened to have it because Katina can't use it. It fucks with her. Mm-hmm. But I tell you what, if you're ever in the, and this is a shameless plug, but if you are ever in the market for a new mattress,
mm-hmm.
and the prices are very similar to the regular coil springs, go with purple. Swear to fucking God, my back no longer hurts. It's awesome. It's weird, but it's.
Have you ever priced one of those My Pillows?
The purple pillows usually run about $100 a pop.
Jesus, I thought $30 underwear from fucking Tommy John was bad. I wanted to buy those.
They came free with the bed. And that mattress weighs 150 pounds. So it's not light, so don't have a rickety bed.
One more thing, and we'll get into
a trailer apparently, because if you live in a mobile home, it may not work out for you.
I don't know if this young lady was in a verbal altercation with somebody. Nugget and I were at the gas station the other day, and lady went in and prepaid for her gas,
mm-hmm.
and she pumped her gas, and the gas was full. To which she looked at the young kids behind her and said, "Hey, there's $8 left on this pump if you want it," and hopped in her car and sped out of there like goddamn Batman laying a patch of rubber.
Huh.
Now, I'm thinking...
What's been going on at home?
Well, two things. One, it must be nice just to give away $8 worth of gas. That's cool.
Yeah, that's paying it forward. Absolutely. Especially with how cheap it is right now. That's full tank for some people.
But when I left, I had a thought. I was like, maybe I should turn around. And I thought, I'll just mind my own. The thing is she hung up the pump.
Which means there's now just a receipt for a refund on the other end.
Yes, and I don't know if the young kids who were excited to get $8 worth of free gas had enough gas station knowledge to know.
She spun out of there because she goes, "I got these suckers. They think they got something and it's not going to be there."
Well, no, because if they were smart, they could have went in and said, "Hey, I need to get my $8 off of pump 5." They could have just got $8 in cash and bought some cigarettes. Yeah.
Woohoo, I got some Mountain Dew.
Yeah. But anyhow, you want to talk about Black Hole Sun? Won't you come?
Something like that. And I'm a little bit of a geek this way. I do like astronomy and shit like that. And this caught my eye, and it's basically that the sun is, well, it's also going into a period of lockdown.
Aww.
Lockdown meaning, if we remember back in like 2013, 2014, there was so much solar activity at the solar maximum, it almost looked like a jack-o'-lantern.
Okay.
Now, if you look at it and try not to burn out your retinas, do it the proper way, you'll see not nearly a dot. It's just a nice orange, smooth globe like a beach ball.
Like
anyway,
nice pair of shaved testicles.
Well, I don't know. Yeah.
Freshly scorned.
No, I don't think it's that wrinkly. Yeah, avocado. So, but now they were talking about that solar, in this article that I was reading, they were talking about that solar maximum was actually fairly mild
mm-hmm.
compared to a lot of other suns or stars or our sun's history. But now we got this lockdown, which, well, here's the magic word. It starts with an A. Apparently.
Hold on, I got that. I was trying to do something else, but hold on, I got a paper here. Holy fuck, that's loud.
Wow. As the sun has gone,
it's so loud. Hold on, let me get that. I can adjust that volume. Hit save here. Whatever.
Anyway, so this actually began last year.
Okay.
And we're continuing into the second year, but this so-called lockdown or quiet time or whatever you want to call it, it can cause freezing weather, which I think could maybe help us on this climate change, but it also can cause earthquakes and famines. Now, we were wondering why it seemed like
with
some
earthquakes and airplanes.
And there seems like there's been a lot of extra earthquakes around here lately. We just had one in Tonopah, 200 miles away.
Watch your mouth.
6.4 on the Richter scale.
Johnny Richter from Cottonmouth Kings?
I believe so. or at least a big B scale.
Yeah, Cottonmouth Kings don't stand for a gang. Cottonmouth Kings just let the nuts hang. Everyday thing. Go ahead.
Anyway, the sun is currently in a period of solar minimum, meaning activity on its surface has fallen dramatically. Experts believe, of course, we always wonder who these experts are. And this is why this isn't necessarily news, it's more just kind of thoughts. Experts believe we are about to enter the deepest period of sunshine recession ever recorded, as sunspots have all but disappeared. According to astronomer Dr. Tony Phillips, he says solar minimum underway, and it's a deep one. Sunspot counts suggest that one of the deepest in the past century. And for those of you out there who don't know what a century is, that is 100 years. The sun's magnetic, this is why I'm an asshole. The sun's magnetic field has become weak.
He's an asshole, sir.
Well, because of the weakening of this magnetic field, it's allowing
major asshole.
Yeah, as allowing the extra cosmic rays into the solar system. Excess cosmic rays pose health hazards to astronauts and polar air travelers. Thank God I don't plan on flying into space or to the poles soon. They also affect the electrochemistry of the Earth's upper atmosphere, which may help trigger lightning. NASA scientists fear that it could be a repeat of what was referred to as the Dalton minimum, which happened between the years of, brace yourself, 1790 and 1830.
Do what now?
Which between the period, this Dalton period was between the years 1790 and 1830, and it led to periods of brutal cold, crop loss, famine, and powerful volcanic eruptions. Temperatures plummeted globally by up to 2 degrees Celsius for over 20 years. Now, let's think about 2 degrees Celsius. I believe that's what we're worried that the temperature will rise.
Is it me or the horizon rising?
Oh, it's you. It is totally you. So it's just kind of interesting. Just like anything else, I think we're beat over our heads to be afraid, to be fearful, to let the smart people take care of you, because the smart people, the people in power, know so much better. But anyway, it's another thing, just like the Yellowstone super volcanoes, another thing, everything else. But it's what's your thoughts? Any thoughts?
I just saw the story, and just kind of like you were saying, the way that they presented it, especially I'm reading my copy, which tells me it's the same website you got your copy from, and they definitely lent on the alarmist side. They're more into the gloom and doom. Let's just go ahead and pour some more anxiety onto overwhelmed people, opposed to just presenting the facts in the more scientific manner.
Hey, COVID-19 got you down? The added chance of murder hornets got you down? Well, hold on to your hats. We are now at a solar minimum, which can produce freezing weather, famine, earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions.
But wait, there's more.
If you buy into this story, we will bring you the hard opening of Apocalypse 2021.
Yeah, that's where we're at. What else you got in the news and shit pile?
Is Import-Export Steve available by chance?
I can track him down. What's up?
So Import-Export Steve, I got to find out about this Tigris lizards that are now in Georgia.
Do what now?
The Tigris lizards.
Ain't familiar with it, sir.
Well, evidently, because, people like pets.
Sure they do.
Weird pets.
Mm-hmm.
Although I really think it's a certain breed of people that collect reptiles.
If you're talking about fine American outstanding citizens, you goddamn right.
All right. Well, there is one more thing to add to the list of invasive species that you just found about and you probably don't like. According to Georgia officials, they're working to completely eradicate a lizard they say poses a major threat to some of the natives' wildlife. It is the Argentinian black and white tegus. That's spelled
Why didn't you just say so,
T-U-S.
sir? You're talking about the Argentinian black and white tegus, also commonly known as the Argentinian giant tegu.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Now, Import-Export Steve.
Yes, sir.
Did you sell any of these lizards?
Well, see, sir, using the phrase selling when it comes to Then Argentinius tegu, that gets you in what we like to call in the business hot water. What we did is we rehomed wayward lizards, sir,
So that doesn't
for a
put you,
premium and a donation
lukewarm
fee.
water. Is that more of a lukewarm water situation?
Well, it's just we're rehoming wayward pets.
Well, according to John Jensen, a biologist with the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, Import-Export, Steve, these lizards that you've rehomed,
Mm-hmm.
well, they've been rehomed to the outside.
Okay, what's the problem with that?
These lizards can grow up to about, I know it's not the same as some of them big lizards you got in Florida, but they grow up to 4 feet in size.
Child's
And they can
play.
eat just about anything they want.
But sir, you're overlooking one thing.
What's that?
These are not just any old tegu lizards. It has been recently shown to be one of the few primarily warm-blooded lizards having a temperature up to 10 degrees Celsius warmer than the outside ambient temperature, sir. So did you ever occur to you that having it in your house with your air conditioner set at 68 degrees, you're not doing these lizards any good, that it's more healthy for them as a species to live outside so they can have a blood temperature higher than the ambient temperature outside?
Yeah, but what about all the eggs of the ground nesting birds, such as quails and turkey?
Sir,
And other reptiles such as the American alligator
Sir,
or the gopher
sir,
tortoise.
why do you hate the
They're
clear?
eating 'em.
Why do you hate the clear coat on my car? What do
Because it
birds
looks
do,
like it was
sir?
done at Midas.
What do birds do, sir?
They,
They poop.
yes, they do.
Have your car ever been egged, sir?
No, it has not, surprisingly.
Well, when you
It
get
has
some
been shat
neighborhood
on a
kids
lot.
running through the neighborhood, picking up wayward ground eggs and throwing them at your car, and then the birds shit on it for good measure, your clear coat is going to be a goddamn disaster. Your insurance policy is going to go up, and you got stuck with a Mako. So I'm doing everybody a good service by helping elude and rid the world of these wayward ground eggs that are going to do nothing but destroy your clear coat. That's going to do nothing but produce birds. They're going to poop on your clear coat and destroy that beautiful 1983 Buick LeSabre you have parked out in front of the trailer.
Well, Import-Export Steve, I do understand the argument, but I do have one question for you.
You got a lot of questions, sir.
Do you love these lizards? Do you care for these lizards?
I'm a lover of the game, sir. I like
Okay,
to
good.
rehome
So-
wayward pets.
So you wouldn't mind if
Can I
the
interest
Georgia-
you in a nutrient?
No, but hold on.
Hey, I
I'm
got a
not
thing.
done.
Gotta go.
Anyway, the Georgia Department of Resources is basically saying, you see one, kill it, and then call us.
How rude. At least in Florida, we pretend like you're supposed to lovingly knock it out and then put it in your freezer until it dies passively.
Yeah, these suckers live up to about 20 years, evidently.
That's pretty crazy.
That is crazy. They multiply fast, and they can lay about 35 eggs in 1 year. So you can do the multiplication there. And before you know it, you're run over with Tigus lizards, and you have no more ground birds.
We want to hear from you. Send us an email at info@d-410.com. Tell us what's going on. If you have any suggestions, questions, or just plain insults, email us at info@d-410.com. That's also the same address you're going to send a request for decals for. And right now, head over to d-410.com and get yourself a new Analog 410 line of t-shirts. You see my Join or Die. You thought I was making that shit up last week by having Join or Die t-shirts. You can get your new Analog 410 Join or Die t-shirt of various qualities and colors via d-410.com. I always buy the premiums because they fit better and they last better, but they have that premium price, which, to be honest with you, I upset my vendor by knocking the price down $4 over their suggested retail price. So the premium I actually sell at their comfort t-shirt level. And straight on down the line, we do have only 3 different styles. I adjust the prices accordingly to make them affordable for everyone. But head over to d-410.com. You can get yourself a Join or Die t-shirt. You can get yourself a Digital 410 t-shirt, a Suck It Up Buttercup t-shirt, What's the Scuttlebutt t-shirt, a Fail to Fail podcast. We have yet to get the new What's in Your Head podcast shirts up. Those will be up here shortly.
So out here in Vegas, even though the bars across the valley had remained closed and everybody's locked up at home, crime has been down.
You don't say.
Allegedly. One thing has been up.
Prostitution?
DUI arrests.
Well, of course, because you have to go out. You can't go to the bar, enjoy a few beers, do the math, sit around for 2 hours on a train, drink your water, sober up, catch your Uber, go home. Instead, you got to drink your beer, run out, make a beer run down to the local liquor store and or gas station, get more beer, and head back home, rinse and repeat.
Mm-hmm. Well, in the Las Vegas metropolitan area, last year, 2019, in April, there were 75 DUI arrests, which kind of seems light, knowing this town. And this year, there's 133 for the same period. So that pert near doubled. But yeah, people are out there driving drunk. That is for sure. We actually, the lady who cuts our hair, you want to talk about a weird incident. About a month and a half ago, she posted that a drunk driver had hit her neighbor's house. Well, it happened again this week.
Really?
I would be moving.
Yeah, right. Or, putting a big boulder in front of your house.
Yeah, something that's got to stop that. But I did want to, something I've been thinking about, and I think it's something we've discussed, and yes, it is kind of coronavirus related. However, what's interesting is I finally saw my first article on this, and it's about these masks that everybody are wearing.
Mm-hmm.
Either they're being forced to wear them or they're wearing them. But, criminals, they're smart. They picked up on this.
Yep.
They're liking the fact that they can't get questioned while wearing a mask around town before they do their robbery and after they do their robbery because, well, everybody else has got them on too.
Yeah, but some of them are still doing it to wear designer ones.
Yes, they are. Or the ones that have the breathing holes out. It's like the whole point is not to get that guy sick. So not about you. But anyway.
OG5 member Jeff Thomas via the Facebook live stream wants to know, have we seen the story and what our opinion is on the story about Colorado amending their previous COVID-19 death toll count?
I have not followed that.
I haven't either, and I looked into it, and I just read a brief description, and I want to say good on them. Colorado has made a stunning and significant change to the way it counts COVID-19 deaths that reduces the statewide figure from more than 1,000 to 878. That's right, previously they reported 1,000 people died. Now they're down to 878 according to the report. The change came after, and good for Colorado for doing this, because we've heard stories where hospitals get paid more if someone dies. Colorado came out of Colorado's Department of Public Health admitted that the COVID-19 death toll was counting those who were tested positive for COVID-19 but had died from other causes. And so it's nice to see somebody actually being straightforward and not wanting to just get the money. Because my question's been for a while, well, how many people who, I'm sure, just like before this, I'm sure somebody who died of a heart attack or had an aneurysm may have had a flu or, something else, but that's not what caused the illness. And we know that there's been reports that if you put on the death certificate they died of COVID-19, Medicare pays more to the hospital for the treatment than the normal treatment.
Interesting. And you kind of reminded me of something that I'm trying to look into, and I heard somebody say, and I don't know the legitimacy of it, but it sounded like the pneumonia cases were down quite substantially this year. And if that is the case, how much of that is just because it's been pushed over to COVID?
Well, since we're back on the topic, let me float this theory that I heard. And when it comes to places like California or New York, it wouldn't surprise me. I think as this thing goes out, I think the states who are going to quote-unquote reopen, I think the last ones to do it will be, ironically, the ones who were in financial trouble before this all started. Because after all, if you reopen and you do away with your quote-unquote state of emergency, guess what you lose?
Well, it's the
FEMA funding.
Well, it's more than FEMA funding. I got the whole state of Nevada is going to do a special session because now we're broke.
Yeah. And so it's maybe possibly, I wouldn't be surprised to see the states who were holding on to this longer than the rest of them are the ones who were broke before this all started so they can continue to get that government money. Yep. Just a theory, I don't know.
So, were you a fan of the movie Best in Show?
I vaguely remember it, but I'm familiar with what you're going to talk about, and I remember him from more movies than just that. But go ahead.
This is Spinal Tap, Anchorman, Austin Powers, Harold and Kumar Go to White Castles. Any of that ring a bell to you?
Yeah, he's a great character actor.
So, unfortunately, we've lost another one, and that is Mr. Fred Willard. He has passed away at the age of 86.
That's a good run.
It was a good run, considering the average adult male, I think, is 82-ish. So he's gone past the finish line. But Fred Willard, the prolific and beloved comics actor and master of the mockumentary genre, who stood out in the ensembles like Best in Show, For Your Consideration, and the aforementioned This Is Spinal Tap, has passed away Friday at the age of 86. According to Willard's rep, Glenn Schwartz, who confirmed his death to Rolling Stone, and this is where this article is coming from. So
he's dead.
Credit where credit is due, adding that the cause of death was natural causes. Willard's daughter, Hope Mollberger, said in a statement, "My father passed away very peacefully last night and at the fantastic age of 86 years old. He kept moving, working, and making us happy until the very end. We loved him so very much, and we missed him forever." So Jamie Lee Curtis, wife of Willard's longtime director, Christopher Guest, first shared the news of the actor's death. And she said, "How lucky that we all got to enjoy Fred Willard's gifts. He is with his Mrs. Mary now. Thanks for the Deep Belly Labs, Mr. Willard." And his wife of 40 years did pass away in 2018. So, Mr. Willard, thank you for all the laughs. Thank you for all the fun. Obviously you will be missed, and we lost another good one.
Yes, sir, Jim Bob McClure.
And that is pretty much all I have on. I don't know if it's. We're still trying to work out a new name. Maybe some of the OG5 can come up with an idea. Speaking of which, we did reach out to the OG5 for a Patreon exclusive.
I think we came up with a name for that.
Yes, and that's what I was where I was going to head. I think we're just going to refer to it as the OG5 Patreon exclusive. So thank you guys for everything you've done for us, especially in these wacky times. I did see something interesting last night.
Was it the Peanut Butter Falcon?
No, it was not the Peanut Butter Falcon. Actually, it was. We go to this place called Handel's Ice Cream. Love it. We just happen to want to get some ice cream. It's kind of been a rough week, and there is a guy on YouTube that is a local here in Vegas. He makes holsters. He's a former Metro cop, and I had sauntered up to Handel's last night, and I hear this laugh. This laugh is oddly familiar. It's a one-of-the-kind laugh you can't mistake. And I look over, and there he is with all his employees, and definitely not social distancing, but hey, whatever. Keep on keeping on, because it was nice to see a group of people together in these times.
Did you fanboy out and ask for an autograph?
No, I just let him go. I was going to yell a reference at him, but I'm too shy that way. So I just said that's cool, and went from there. I did actually. He posted that they were there last night. And I did kind of mention that I heard the laugh and stuff on Instagram, and he replied. But it was cool. It just said just keep on doing what you're doing. It's awesome to see. Same thing I'm said here. Awesome to see you guys having a good time in these effed up times, and we need a little more of it. So, but no, it was kind of cool. But that's all I got.
Thank you guys so much for joining us for another episode of the What's in Your Head podcast. And remember, life is short, life is hard. And I just remember I had said this, and gosh, probably 8 episodes. Life is short, life is hard. Go out and do what you got to do to make your life and your community a better place. Because after all, if you don't ever get out of your comfort zone, you'll never get out of bed. And life is too short. One day you may wake up dead. Gordon?
I can be found at Aegis1974 on Instagram. Gordon at D410. Actually, Gordon at D410 on Facebook, and Abernathy Gordon on Twitter. You guys take care. Have a great week. Be kind to others. And just keep on rolling, man.
Thank you all, and we'll see you next time. And also, please join our YouTube channel at Digital410. We got more videos coming up. And as we said before, please check out At Computers and the Patreon page. Go to d-410.com for all of our links. Sign up for Patreon's development. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next week.
This has been a Digital 410 production.